This is a CCEA Maths paper. This is M7 paper 2, and it's from January 2020. So let's take a look at question 1. The diagram shows the position of two airports B and C. Measure the bearing of C from B. Now we need to be careful here because it's C from B. So B is where I'm going to be measuring from. So I'm going to first of all join the two up so we can see the line we're trying to find the bearing of. And the bearing's always measured clockwise from north, so the angle we're looking for is going to be this angle here. So if we set up our protractor like that, make sure we're at the right spot, and then we're going to be measuring round then from here. So me, there's 120. It's not a great protractor, I'm afraid. 120, 125 and 126. So I think the bearing then is going to be 126 degrees. A third airport D is 350 kilometers on a bearing of 0.55 from airport C. On the diagram, using a scale of 1 centimeter by 50 kilometers, mark the position of airport D with a cross and label it D. So it's from C and it's 0.55. So again, we're going to go clockwise from north. So it's going to go around to there, and there is my 55 degree mark from C. So I'll draw my line on, again as accurately as I possibly can. And then the next thing we need to do, it's 350 kilometers, 1 centimeter to 50 kilometers. So hopefully you can see 50 goes into this 7 times, so we need to go then 7 centimeters. So let's measure 7 centimeters then from here. Fairly close to the end, pretty much on that line there. And so my X is going to go here. So you can just see that there. And it's asked us then to label that with a D. Okay, question 2, calculate the interior angle of a regular pentagon. With a couple of different ways of doing this. You can find the exterior angle and take it away from 180. Because it's regular, all the exterior angles add up to 360. All the exterior angles of any polygon add up to 360, but these ones then it's going to be 360 divided by 5, and that gives me 72. So that angle there is 72, and so this angle here is going to be 180. Take away 72, so the angle then is going to be 108. And the other way of doing it, of course, is to know that angles in a pentagon always add up to 540, and so you do 540 divided by 5, and that gives you 108 as well. So two different methods. Fertilizes the numbers 1, 2, 2, 4, 5 and 8 marked on its faces. Explain clearly why the probability of getting a prime number is less than the probability of getting an even number. So the probability of a prime, 1, 2, 3, that's 3 over 6 or a half. The probability of an even number, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 4 over 6. So whatever way you want, there are more evens than primes, or 4 over 6 is greater than 3 over 6. Question 4. Here are the first 3 terms of a number sequence. Write down the 8th term in this number sequence. Well, you could do it a couple of different ways. You might want to kind of go nth term and find the gap every single time. So that's 6 and that's 6. This is the first term, second term and third term. Or you could just kind of work your way down. So we could kind of find your nth term, or we can just kind of work our way down. So let's just work our way down for this one. 78, so it's going to give me then 72, and then 66, and then 60, and then 54, and then 48. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 48 is our term there. Daniel says that 5 cannot be a term in this number sequence. Is Daniel correct or not? Explain why. I mean, there's a couple of different ways. There's always going to be even numbers. Well, you can't get an odd number if you're taking away 6 from there. So Daniel is correct. And if you want then all terms are even, would be a reasonable enough answer then to that. Question 5. A spinner consists of a circular wheel which is divided into 8 sectors numbered 1 to 8 as in the diagram. When spun, the arrow will point to one of these sectors. What is meant if the spinner is described as a fair spinner? It just means that each number has an equal chance, or each, sorry, not necessarily each number. Well, they're all different numbers, so each sector has an equal chance. And then they're all the same size. The spinner is not fair. The probability of the arrow pointing to the sector numbered 7 is 0.15. Work out the probability of the arrow not pointing to the number 7. So that would be 1 take away 0.15, and that would give us then 0.85. There are 648 pupils in a school. The ratio of boys and girls is 4 to 5. How many girls are in the school? So we need to do 4 plus 5, which gives us 9. Then we're going to do 648 divided by 9. That gives us 72. This bit's boys, this bit's girls. We then want to do 72 times 5, and that gives us then 360. Instructions for fizzy juice. Mix 3 parts fruit juice with 7 parts of lemonade. Molly has 600 mils of fruit juice. She also has 1800 mils of lemonade. What is the maximum number of litres of fizzy juice that she can make? So it's 3 to 7, whereas this here is 3 to 9. I hope that kind of makes sense. So if we do, let me see this. We set up the 3 to 7, and we're 600 here for the fruit juice. So what are we times in there by? We're times in by 200. We'd want to do the same then to this, so times by 200, and maybe get 1400, and that'll then measure our fizzy juice. So 600 plus 1400 is 2000 mils, and that's obviously then going to be 2 litres. Question 8. Enlarge the rectangle shown using a scale factor of 2, centre of enlargement 0, 0. So let's get a ruler then for that. And 0, 0 is our centre of enlargement, so we just want to count squares. So this corner here is across 2 and down 1, so we want to go across 4 and down 2 because the scale factor 2, we're doubling it. This one here is 2 and 2, so instead of going 2 and 2 we go 4 and 4. Same again, 4 and 4 here, and then 2 across down 1, 4 across down 2. Nice thick lines so that you can see them. And that's all scale factor 2. In America, Dave bought a book for $28. The exchange rate was $1 is 81p. In France, Evie bought a book for €25. The exchange rate was £1 to €1.09. Who paid more and how much more? I guess if we convert them both into pounds, that would make it work. So let's see, if we have 28, you can set it up as a ratio of whatever you want, but 28 multiplied by 0.81 would work for us, and that gives us £22.68. Then 25 divided by 1.09 is £22.94. So £22.94. So Evie paid more. And she paid. Who paid more and by how much? So 68 then to that by 26p. It's tough enough, that question. You need to work out that you're obviously dividing this one and you're multiplying this one. Sometimes setting up as a ratio kind of makes it better. There are other ways as well. You could simply kind of change this here, change the $28 into pounds and then into euros, and then check and see from there, and that would work then too. Question 10. The equation x cubed plus 3x equals 25 is a solution between 2 and 3. Use trial improvement method to find a solution. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. Show all your working. So we're going to try halfway between 2 and 3 just to start with. So we're going to try 2.5. So 2.5 cubed plus 2.5 to the power 3 plus 3 times 2.5 equals, and that gives me 23.125. So that's too small. I can go for 2.6. 2.6 cubed plus 3 times 2.6 equals, and that's 25.376. And that's too big, so it's somewhere in between these two. So we're going to try 25.55 to see which of these is the correct one. .23, so that's too low. 2, 3, 1, 3, 7, 5, and that's too small. And because of the fact that that is too small, then the answer must have been 2.6. So down here, what you can just about see, you can't just about see, move a few things around, so we'll move it up, sorry about that. Answer then is 2.6. First four terms of a sequence are 2, 7, 12 and 17. Write down an expression for the nth term of this sequence. I number them 1, 2, 3 and 4. I then find a gap, and the gap on this one is 5. That means the term has to be 5n plus or minus something. I substitute the number 1 into this formula. 5 times 1 gives me 5, but I want 2, so it's 5n minus 3. I also check that it works for some of the other numbers. Let's check it works for the number 4 just to make sure we're right. 5 times 4 gives me 20, take away 3, which is 17. So it's worked for that. PQRS is a rectangle. Shade the region inside the rectangle which is more than 5 centimeters from P and more than 3 centimeters from the line QR. So it's more than 5 centimeters from P, so we need to set up our compass, and we set this up to 5. Hopefully you can see that, so that's been set to 5, so it needs to be outside this wee arc here. So there's more than 5 centimeters from P, so that's anywhere in this section here, and then more than 3 centimeters from the line QR, straight line drawn inside the rectangle. So we want to go 3 centimeters from QR. So there's a 3 there. I'm going to measure there, nice and accurately, and join those two up. So what does it need to be? It needs to be more than 5 centimeters from P, so that's this bit, and more than 3 centimeters from QR, so that's this bit. So the bit we're looking for is that bit there. Survey is carried out to find out the number of electric cars on the road. 100 cars are surveyed each day for 4 days. The results are recorded in the following table along with the relative frequencies so far. Day 1, number of electric cars, 0.11. Day 2, number of electric cars, 0.115. Day 3, number of electric cars, 16, 0.13. And day 4 is going to be 9. Work out the missing relative frequency and record it in the table. So I hope you can see where these values have come from, and let's just check to make sure we're right. So this is 11 divided by 100. This one here, 11 plus 12 is 13. So I do 13 divided by 200, 0.065 multiplied by 2. Sorry, give me a wee second here. Yeah, I just typed the wrong thing in the calculator, I think. So 11 plus 12, so 23 over 200 gives me 0.115. And then 11 plus 12 plus 16, is that going to be 39 over 300? Which is 0.13 again. That's not really coming out in the calculator, you can see it there. And so all of them then kind of added up. So if we do, well, that's 39, so it's going to be 48 over 400. And that gives us in 0.12, which would be the best estimate for the probability that a card chosen at random is electric, is obviously then going to be the 0.12 because it's the biggest sample. Question 14. Write the following in standard form. So first one is going to be 3.85 times 10. So what have I done? I've put the decimal point in the right place. This number always has to be between 1 and 10. So we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's a small number, times 10 to the minus 6. This next one, people can maybe just kind of do this in their heads, but you just need to be careful. So you need to change this number, so it's going to be 1.67. And that's 1.67 times 10 to the power 2, which gives me the 167. That confuses some people. Sometimes you're better actually covering up that wee bit. 167 is 1.67 times 10 to the power 2. So this thing is times 10 to the power minus 9. Multiplying then these two things, we add the powers. So our answer then would be 1.67 times 10 to the minus 7. The sketch above shows part of the graph of the quadratic function y equals minus x squared plus 4x minus 3. Write down the coordinates of the point where the graph will cross the y-axis. Crosses the y-axis whenever x equals 0. Whenever x equals 0, we get y equals minus 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 3. So that obviously gives me minus 3. So it's 0 minus 3. Have that. Work out the coordinates of the highest point on the graph. We'll have a couple of different ways of doing that. Because it's a parabola, it's going to be halfway in between, because this is always symmetrical. So we're going to have this line here. So it's going to be whenever x equals 2. So if we go y equals minus 2 squared plus 4 upon 2 minus 3. So that's going to be then minus 4 plus 8 minus 3. and that gives me 1. So the coordinate then would be the point 2, 1. Model of a building site is to be made. The length of the building site is 100 times the length of the model. How many times larger is the area of the building site than the area of the model? Well, if their lengths are in the ratio 1 to 100, then their areas are going to be in the ratio of 1 squared to 100 squared. So that's going to be 1 to 10,000. So the answer to that would be 10,000. Bag contains 9 discs. 5 of the discs are red, 4 of the discs are blue. Kyoiko, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, takes a disc at random from the bag. The disc is replaced in the bag, takes a disc at random from the bag. Work out the probability the disc was blue both times. So the probability of a blue disc is 4 over 9. So it's going to be 4 over 9 times 4 over 9. And that gives us top times top is 16. 9 times 9 is 81. The probability that Jack takes a packed lunch to school on any given day is 3/8. Complete the tree diagram to show this information for 2 days. So lunch or no lunch, lunch or no lunch, lunch or no lunch. And it's 3/8, and that means this must be 5/8. 3/8, 5/8, 3/8, 5/8. Question below then, what is the probability Jack takes a packed lunch to school on only one of the 2 days? So we have 2 different options here. We will have this one, or we could have this one. 3/8 times 5/8 is 15 over 64. Top times top, bottom times bottom. It's going to be the same here. 5 times 3 is 15. 8 times 8 is 64. So it's going to be 15 over 64 plus 15 over 64. That's 30 over 64. Divide both sides by top and bottom by 2. We get 15 over 32. So the answer then is 15 over 32. Final question then. There are 2 types of ticket available for a concert, seated and standing. Julie buys 3 seated tickets and 1 standing for 82. Gemma buys 5 seated tickets and 4 standing for 174. Work out the cost of each type. You can't use trial and improvement, so we're going to use simultaneous equations here. Seated I'm going to call to be x, and standing is y. S and S is obviously a bad thing to choose, so it's going to be x and y. So it's going to be 3x plus y is 82, and then 5x plus 4y is 174. I'm going to number them 1 and 2. I'm going to make the y's the same as each other here, so I'm going to do number 1 times by 4. That's going to give me then 12x plus 4y is equal to 328. And then I'm going to subtract these, but I'm going to subtract them the wrong way around. I hope this isn't too confusing here. So 12x take away 5x is going to be 7x. 328 take away 174 gives me 154, and that means x is 22. I'm then going to sub that into 1, so substitute into 1. So equation 1 is 3x plus y is 82. 3x's then are 3x's are 66 plus y is 82, and that gives me y is 16. So y is of course the standing ones, so standing is 16, and then x then is 22. So that's us done.